I'm the RC analyst.
Whether you're an RC guy or a serial killer, the kill switch is something you always want to know about.
The T-Max also has got a cousin, the Traxxas Jato 3.3.
See that? I'm pressing the brake on the remote and it is smooth as butter.
This thing is almost falling off the table, it's so wide. 140 kilograms of torque, guys. The most of any RC. The new mascot of my Primal MT monster truck. What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is part 5 of my Primal RC MT build. Today, we're going to be putting in the brake lines. The brake lines on this thing are literally like on a bicycle. They are shielded metal braided cables. Pretty freaking unique if you ask me. I finally put on the Primal RC shirt because I'm almost done building this. I think I deserve it. We're also going to be doing a size comparison. I'm actually going to find out whether this is a 1/5 scale compared to the real Monster Jam Raminator truck. I am officially going to be picking the Primal MT mascot. There we go. Gotta put your stickers on your dogs as well, right? By the way, Primal RC does have a very good tutorial on their YouTube page. It's very nice to see when the manufacturer makes a specific set of videos tailored exactly to one model. Not like every other manufacturer where they tell you how to tune an engine and they use an RC with a completely different engine. Yes, the principles still apply, but this particular one is as unique as possible when you're talking about 1/5 scale RCs. Everything on here is purpose built for this truck. And yes, I think that in fact is the major justification for the price. I challenge you to find any piece of plastic on here, you know, obviously other than the pull starter thing here, you know, the fuel cap and the body post right here. There's nothing here that is not metal or aluminum that isn't really a sacrificial piece. Even the spare use of plastics on this chassis. This is the rear of the chassis and it has a plastic component. They use plastics as sparingly as possible and where needed as necessary. I'm also going to be doing a radio systems and electronics check. This thing has 5 servos. 3 of them are 5th scale 70 kilogram servos. If you added up all of the kilograms of torque on this RC, it would just blow away any other RC. You know what? I'm actually going to do the math for you guys and tell you what it is. Alright, enough blabbing. Let's put the brakes in, put the body on, talk about size, you know, do whatever I want to do, and name our mascot.
The brake components are shipped in 2 little packages. These are the stop collars. We have our springs that we're going to put onto the caliper in a little bit. These are extras because this thing has so much torque that it is highly recommended that you put 2 stop collars onto the brake lines. By the way, top tip to make your life easier, make sure to get yourself a set of set screws just like this. This is pretty much every size you will ever need. You never know when you're gonna have to need one of these, when one of these falls out, when you use the wrong thread lock, whether you use red or blue. Red is meant for a higher strength application and blue is what they call medium strength. Now for your brake components, you want to be using the red thread lock. Usually it is also removable if you apply heat to it later. I'm going to be installing the rear brake. You remove the shielded plastic liner, right? You could see I have the cable literally in my hand. We're going to be just fishing it through the part of the caliper and installing this spring. This is going to be kind of like what you would call a return spring to make sure that there's no binding while you're in an idle position or in neutral. Here we go. It is going to be fished through. You guys see that? So basically just returns this little cam back to its normal position and make sure that the brake pad itself is not engaging the rotor. Make sure that you put on the part with this metal captured end right by the caliper. This part is going to be going by the servo. It has its own kind of protector there and a place for this to be located. Let's slide this on. This is what you want it to look like. This metal part has to be in contact with the caliper itself. At this point, I just have to route the brake line, make sure there's no sudden bends, kinks, or moves, because guess what? This has to move freely in the brake line to maximize the efficiency. You don't want to have any massive bends. This seems to be okay over here. So it's still going to be moving freely. I can move the cord in and out. You see that right there on the bottom? I'm literally moving it in and out, and there's absolutely no friction inside the cable. That's how you know it's a high-end cable. The cord is all routed. We're gonna have to route it through this brake splitter. We could slide the cord right through the brake arm here.
and put on our stop collar. I've already applied some thread lock to it. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the front brake setup.
At this point, I'm just going to show you guys how this thing actually engages the brakes. The system is on. You see that? I'm pressing the brake on the remote, and it is smooth as butter. Without putting the wheels on and seeing how this thing actually spins, which I will eventually do, there's no way to tell whether this pin here should be released a little bit more. I'm not quite sure. It seems like there's not that much play, but I can see that the brake pad is actually engaging and moving outwards. So it does seem to be working correctly for now. I'm not applying the brakes all the way right now. This is only about halfway on the remote, but the system is operational. I gotta wait a couple hours, probably 24 hours, for a thread lock in the stop collars to dry before we can really give this thing a test.
At this point, it is good to do a radio check. I just gotta connect the two front steering servos. The wiring harness is right over here. It has these green little labels on them. Pretty much the only open wires where you could plug in anything. There's no way you could mess this up. As long as the black cable on the wiring harness is connected to the brown cable from the steering servo, there's no way you could mess this up. So the system is on right now. Let's check out the steering. Oh yeah, 140 kilograms of torque, guys. The most of any RC. At this point, it's important to check all your servos. The steering works. The reverse servo, let me put it on. I could see it shifting right over there. Pretty intricate design. The brake servo on top, what we just looked at, works. And the throttle, I can see visually that the carburetor is opening up the venturi. At this point, you should be setting your endpoints. You don't want this thing going too far left or too far right. There's a lot of menus and sub trims for individual channels here on the remote. This is something I'm gonna do later, but either way, the system is on. 140 ounce. This is what 140 looks like. Okay, so I could see when I go full lock to the right, it is hitting some kind of a metal piece over here. And when I go full lock to the left, it is not. That means I gotta adjust some of the endpoints to the right. You don't wanna strip any of this. I have heard people stripping the servos, and usually that is because their steering is just not correctly adjusted.
Whether you're an RC guy or a serial killer, the kill switch is something you always wanna know about. Right now, our system is off. We're looking at the kill switch itself. It is a Triton unit, really nice. I'm gonna power on the truck in the back. The remote is on. Watch what happens. When you power it on right over here, the LED indicator glows green. That means the system is active, everything is good. Now, if I turn off the remote or press this button, the channel 3 button, I'm gonna press it right now. That is a way to check your kill switch. I'm gonna press it. You see right now, it is blinking. That means we have cut off in case the engine was running. If I press it again, it's gonna restore the green LED. Really cool system. Now let's see what happens when I turn the power off. Yes, it's also going to apply the failsafe. You see, guys, the brakes are fully engaged and the kill switch is red. When we put it back on, it is blinking because we also have to once again activate the system by pressing a third channel. Really cool. There is a manual kill switch here on the side of the chassis. It says on and off. You're always supposed to leave it in the on position. Now, because this engine doesn't have a kill button like most RCs do on the actual engine itself, this is basically just routed on the side.
I found the best way to put wheels on this is having this thing hang off right on the edge, in a matter of speaking, right? Not an edge like it's on drugs, but an edge like this. So these wheels are directional, meaning the chevrons themselves. The wheel itself is a universal wheel, so if you just wanted to flip it, you know, I guess you could call it a tire rotation, you can. You don't have to buy specific front or rear or left or right wheels. It's just that the chevrons have to be facing forward when the tire is actually rolling. Here we go. Now we could use the supplied giant wheel wrench like you would in a car, you know, while it's hanging off the edge, and tighten the lug nut. Exactly, I called it a lug nut, not a wheel nut. This thing is almost falling off the table, it's so wide. I guess it's the American diet, right? Here it is, guys, fully assembled. It is literally hanging off the table. I can only fit, literally, I think, maybe 40% of a tire on each side of the table before it falls off. I mean, this is just incredible. Now, what I want to point out is the suspension, really smooth. Now, the way this truck sits right now, it actually has a little bit of suspension droop, which I like. So if I raise it from the bottom, You can see that right here. When I let go, it settles down. This is really, really nice. It's like a real car. When you lowered it off the lift, there is a little bit of a suspension droop. I like that. It's kind of like the riding position. Really, really nice. When this thing is going to be driving, I know it's going to look incredible. Not like any other RC that really you just put it and you only see the suspension travel when it's hitting, you know, massive jumps or bumps. This is like as lifelike as you can get. Let me show you guys the reality of this RC. This is a 5th scale Baja. I've actually never shown this one on video before. The reason I'm picking this one is because it also has the front disc brake setup, but these are just really, really bad. They have absolutely no stopping power, but it does have front disc brakes, which are pretty cool. This has a really nice RCMK engine right over here, pretty powerful. This is an old King motor RC with hostile slicks. That's right, never before seen on my channel. Been too busy building this right over here and doing pull-ups with it. But guys, check this out. This is like not even funny. This Primal is 40 inches long, 80 pounds. Is it a true 5th scale? I'm gonna give you some facts right now and you can determine for yourself. But I'll tell you right now, yes, it is. Alright, so let's figure out how long a real Monster Jam truck actually is. We're just gonna check the length right now. I looked it up online. A Monster Jam truck is 17 feet long. That translates into 204 inches. Now this thing right here is 40 inches. So if you do a simple division of 40 over 204, you get 0.196. Basically, you could round that up to 0.2. So yes, you get 1 over 5, and that is 20%, which is 1/5 scale. Okay guys, thanks so much for watching. Honestly, very easy build. Everything was already pretty much here. There was no hunting down where screws are, no weird parts diagrams. Everything was as assembled to the fullest as possible. Routing the brake lines was a piece of cake once you watch the instructional video. Mounting the suspension components, also a piece of cake. All the equipment for mounting it, the hardware was already on the truck itself. The electronic system is already set up. You don't have to buy nothing. Everything works. By the way, if you were wondering what else you could use your Raminator wheels for, you know, when they're not on the truck right now, yeah, you could use it as a stand for your traxxas Jato. Let's check in with T-Max Tony. He's gonna give this Jato a run. Thanks for having me on your show, Hybrid. You know T-Max Tony loves the T-Max, but hey, the T-Max also's got a cousin, the traxxas Jato 3.3. Alright Hybrid, thanks so much for checking in with me with my traxxas Jato 3.3. I'm making nitro great again. I know you're back there with a huge Primal MT making gas RC great again. This is the Primal RC Prius. Everybody meet the Primal RC Beagle, the new mascot of my Primal MT monster truck. There we go. The Primal RC MT Beagle and I are about to go for a walk. He's really annoying, making a whole bunch of noises. Look at that. He's about ready to jump out the window, kill a whole bunch of bunnies. What's up with you, dog? What's up? Primal MT mascot guy swimming. You could only see that on my channel. The Primal MT mascot is also the Michael Phelps of dogs. Yeah, good job, Primal MT mascot.